we will start off with the prayer and the pledge, led by Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
Could everyone have silence for a minute while I say the Lord's Prayer? Or a prayer anyway. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, we come to you this evening for you to guide us and strengthen us to do what the city needs to be done for all its citizens. We pray that you look over all of our leaders, the city manager and his whole staff. Please protect our policemen and our fire department, and please protect our citizens from any harm that may come to them. Please guide them and let their steps be in the way of righteousness so that we all can do your will. All this we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to
the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
For all. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Reminder for the council to please state your city and the state you're participating from. Councilmember Williams.
Saginaw, Michigan, present.
Mayor Pro Tem Balls. Please unmute your mics.
Present in the city of Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Bench.
Present in the city of Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Ostash.
Present in Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Scherzer.
Present from the city of Saginaw.
Councilmember Copeland.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Lamar Sylvia.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Councilmember Flores.
Present, Kalamazoo.
Mayor Moore.
Present, Saginaw, Michigan.
Thank you. We have 9 members present, 0 absent.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that takes us to announcements, Mayor. I do have a couple this evening. I'd like everyone to be aware that a revised agenda has been distributed, and it is for the addition of consent agenda item number 17 regarding a purchase with McDonald Ford for $12,343 for the Traffic Engineering Division. And also to let all the city residents be aware that the city's Waste Convenience Station is open this Saturday, June 12th, from 8 o'clock a.m. until noon. And it's for city residents to drop off items such as building materials, and we have recycling for glass, plastic, and paper. Access to the station is on Holland Avenue. And Mayor, we do have a proclamation this evening, is declaring June 19th, 2021 as Juneteenth.
And that will be read by Councilwoman Sylvia.
Good evening. City of Saginaw proclamation. Whereas 2 p.m. on New Year's Day, January 1st, 1863, using his war powers as president, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, providing that all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state shall be thenceforth and forever free. And whereas 2.5 years later, on June 19, 1865, Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, and enforced the president's order, freeing the slaves 2.5 years after it was first decreed. And whereas paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment by Congress on January 31st, 1865, which formally abolished slavery in the United States of America. And whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans and is called Juneteenth, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. Now, therefore, I, Brenda Moore, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2021 as Juneteenth and urge residents to celebrate with our members of the African American community. Furthermore, recognize the contributions made by members of the African American community and urge all citizens to become more aware of the significance of this celebration in African American history and in the heritage of our nation and city. In witness whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Saginaw to be affixed the seventh day of June in the year of our Lord 2021. Signed, Brenda F. Moore, Mayor, Councilpersons Michael D. Balls, Mayor Pro Tem, Annie Bench, George Copeland Jr., Michael Flores, Monique Lamar Sylvia, Bill Ostash, Adam Swager, and Reggie Williams II. Timothy Morales, City Manager.
Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Clerk.
That takes us to public hearings. Our first one tonight is regarding the proposed lead service line replacement project.
Each speaker, each speaker has, well, I'm sorry. Is there anyone here to represent this public hearing that would like to speak?
Madam Mayor, this is Director Branch. I'm here to speak, give a presentation. Can you see my PowerPoint slide?
Yes, sir.
All right, we will get started then. Council, good evening. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, manager, and others in attendance. Welcome to the public hearing on Saginaw's lead service line disadvantaged community drinking water state revolving loan fund project. One thing to mention, Robin Doan is our transcriptionist, and she may ask for some clarification if necessary. This is required by the state that this public hearing be transcribed. So if you're here, Robin, please acknowledge her. Also, I have been working with Jennifer Garza and Derek Huff from Spicer Group on this project plan and this work. Just a little reminder, we have approximately 18,000 active service lines, and that's the focus of our replacements at this point, is that we get all the lead service lines that are active first. And please note that lead service lines include galvanized once connected to lead, but we are also trying to prioritize the lead service lines as much as we can. So the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund project plan presentation is what we're talking about tonight. And the purpose is to provide a public forum for community information and comment. And on this slide is a summary of the topics that we're going to talk about tonight. So Michigan's Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund program offers low interest loans to assist eligible water supplies to meet the requirements of the Safe Drinking Water Act. New legislation this year allocated $102 million to disadvantaged communities for lead service line replacements using Booker funds. Any construction costs that are available or eligible, or I should say are eligible for principal forgiveness. So those funds are like grant monies. Saginaw is a disadvantaged community, and we are eligible for up to $5 million of principal forgiveness in this loan. The qualifications are listed here for what we need to do. The public hearing is part of the process needed to qualify for these funds. The project plan includes lead service line replacements in 4 areas of the city. We would like to maximize the $5 million in funding and make all of that funding used towards construction. We will be also doing this with city street projects and planned replacements both. We expect to replace between 1,000 and 1,400 lines with the funding. Bid pricing will of course affect the number, that we can afford to do for the money that we're using. But we anticipate that we will be doing about 450 water service lines in a year, and this project would take us about 3 years. Note that administrative costs for the project will be funded with cash so that all of the money can be used for construction. That cash will be provided by the lead service line fees that are on your bills. So here are the areas of the plan. You will notice right away, and I'm sure people are wondering, why is there bigger areas on the west side than on the east side? Well, the reason for that is there are a lot more vacant lots and unoccupied homes on the east side than there are in the west. And because we are trying to focus on active service lines so that we're providing public health protection to everyone that's using water at this time, that is why we have this set up the way it is. There are currently 61% approximately active lines on the west side and about 39% on the east side. But we will try very hard to make sure that this is evenly distributed according to the active service line number. And this just shows you one of the areas. We're going to go through all four. The streets that it's bounded by. I don't have time to list them and go through them, but this is on the west side, the northern section. And then on the northeast side, eastern northern section, and the streets that are bounding it. This is the southeast and the streets that bound it. So on the east side, the southern section. And the last area is the southwest, west side, southern section, and the streets that bound it. So continuing the project plan, let's talk about the alternatives analysis. There are 4 that are required, and these are important to keep in mind because in the resolution it refers to item 4. But we look at it in terms of, can we take no action? That is not a viable alternative. We need to resolve our concerns with the lead and copper rule as well as the health and safety of our public. Can we optimize the performance of existing facilities? Well, that's not allowed by the lead and copper rule. We are not allowed to line existing infrastructure. We must replace it. Regional alternatives are also not viable because this is a local system issue. This is not a regional system issue. So the only viable alternative is replacement of the lead service lines, and that is how we're proceeding. This slide basically is required as well. It shows that we're planning to use the full $5 million toward the construction, and that would be the worth of what we're going to complete. Just as a informational piece, the administrative costs we expect to be between 15 and 20% of the total. So that would be approximately $750,000 to $1 million in cash funding for the administrative costs. So that's pretty much the cost issue. But the thing that I want to mention is that this $5 million should either reduce the fee amount over time, or it should shorten the duration of the fee. And we are interested in seeking more funding as we're able. So let's talk a little bit about the impacts, social, environmental, and economic. As far as environmental impacts, we're not aware of any at this time. Social impacts, there are 2 short-term that we can think of that are unfavorable. Building access to the homes that are being worked on will be difficult, as well as traffic flow could be affected. But in the long run, we feel that this would be very, very favorable. And we would expect that would be because of removal of lead from the supply. The economic impacts are also favorable because the values of homes should be improved and principal forgiveness should lower the customer cost. This is my final slide, and then we'll move on with the hearing. But I wanted to mention that if the resolution is approved tonight, we would submit this plan by July 1st of this year. Then by September 2021, we would know whether or not we were accepted as a fundable project. And then bidding would be done in 2021. March would be the loan closing of 22, and June 22 would be construction beginning. Thank you. I went over a little bit. I practiced and I had 8.5. So I guess I slowed down too much. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
You actually have 2 more minutes, Paul.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that. That completes my presentation. I guess the time on my clock is wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments or anyone else who would like to speak on this public hearing?
Mayor, I believe that we have John Milne wanting to speak during
Yes.
the hearing. Go ahead, John.
I'm here. Am I heard?
Yes, you're heard.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor Moore, council members, staff members present. This is John Millen, City of Saginaw. I wanted to first thank Paul for his presentation. He actually covered a lot of the questions I would have had that were not necessarily contained in the plan documents, which I looked at today at City Hall. So thank you again for some of the answers. I did look at this information, wanted to point out a couple things that I thought were very important and that I think can be stressed to the public as education on this occurs over the next year. The planned project under this forgivable loan would represent, in a rough manner, about 10% of the active taps we are planning to work on under the original lead line service replacement plan that the City Council approved a little less than 2 years ago. And what is also important is to stress that this project is in parallel with our continued work that the city is funding through the lead line service line charge that is on everyone's water bills right now, all active taps. So it would seem unlikely that we will be able to realize any immediate change in that service charge on the water bills as our work continues and the city-funded portion of this plan draws from those funds. But it does, however, confirm something we talked about 2 years ago, that by placing this as a separate charge on the water bills, it can be followed easily and its impact on that charge is separate from our regular water rate setting. This would be very nice to make a quick dent because at the same time, over 3 years, these taps are being replaced. We're also continuing our work outside those project areas. So I think, well, along with what Consumers is doing on gas lines right now, we're going to have a pretty busy set of streets yet. The combination of the two projects, though, should clear our project up sooner than the 20-year plan that was put in place. And so I would be hopeful that as that unfolds, we may be able to make an impact on that service line replacement charge on the bills. But I think I would agree with Mr. Reinsch that the possibility exists of additional funds for additional tranches in this type of work, depending on state and or federal funding opportunities.
Mr. Milne,
Yes.
your time has expired.
Oh, thank you very much. As I said, most of my questions got answered, so I didn't need as much time. Thank you, council members.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Clerk, because I don't have a buzzer. Again, is there anyone else to speak on this public hearing? Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this public hearing? Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this public hearing? Hearing none, I need a motion to close the hearing.
Monique Sylvia.
I support that.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor
Sorry,
signify by
who gave the second, please?
Michael Balls.
Name, thank you.
It has been moved in second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk?
Our second and final public hearing tonight is regarding the proposed urban cooperation agreement with James Township, the Village of St. Charles, and Swan Creek Township Water Authority, and it's to provide water services.
Do we have anyone who would like to make public comment or to make comments, on this public hearing?
Mayor, this is Mr. Reich again. You get to listen to me once more, give a brief presentation on what this is about. All right, thank you. This is a public hearing regarding the Urban Cooperation Agreement, or UCA, between the city, James Township, the Village of St. Charles, and Swan Creek Township Water Authority. The UCA is related to the wholesale customer water service agreement between the city and the authority on the agenda this evening. Under Article 8 of the Wholesale Water Service Agreement, there is a requirement to establish the UCA between the city and the authority. The UCA allows for revenue sharing related to system expansion of new residential, commercial, industrial, or manufacturing development within the authority. The UCA allows for revenue sharing as authorized by Public Act 425 of 1984 and the Urban Cooperation Agreement Act of 1967, as well as any other laws. The UCA is similar to other previous wholesale water service agreements with the city's wholesale water customers for potable water supply. The UCA includes one-time development fee payments to the city. It also includes imposition of city income tax on non-city resident employees related to any commercial, industrial, or manufacturing development with 10 or more full-time employee equivalents. The revenue sharing also requires the city to share the income tax revenue received 10% to the authority and 90% to the city. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak on this public hearing? Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this public hearing? Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this public hearing? I need a motion to close the hearing.
Bench moves.
Monique Sylvia, second.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at public input.
This is just a reminder that all speakers you're limited to 3 minutes. Please get all of your main points in within that 3 minutes. Madam Clerk.
Our first speaker tonight is Robert Bougie. Robert, please go ahead.
Yes, am I heard?
Yes, you are.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. I am concerned about Ojibwe Island and vehicle access to the island. I moved back to, I grew up in Saginaw. I moved back 4 years ago. I've been going down to the island 3 or 4 times a week, and I've seen a definite downward spiral in the activities down there. There's a lot of illegal activities. It's all car generated. People come there, they have parties, they come there, they drink, they do drugs, they shoot their guns off. It's gotten to be a place where people were afraid to go until the pandemic shut down the vehicle traffic. That has helped tremendously. I was on the island last week, and I ran into the city manager and the public works department, the head of the public works department. They were down there assessing a new parking arrangement for where you would park your cars on the 2 existing bridges and the roadway between the bridges. I would like to really encourage that kind of move, because the things that have been going on down the island, it's very discouraging for people to go down there. People want to go down there, go fishing, go for a picnic, walk your dog, whatever. People are afraid to do that because of these activities that are going on, and it's kind of vehicle generated. The activities. People go down there, they park in the lots, they have a party, and there have been a couple gun incidents down there. I know that it was the island was opened up after the pandemic for a week or two, and then it was closed down again because there was a shooting incident. There was a spontaneous party there at night. So I'm very concerned about, because I love the island. I think it's the jewel of the Saginaw Parks, and it's a shame. It would be a shame to see it misused, abused, and go down the tubes basically where no one wants to use it. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Audrey Beatty. Audrey, are you with us? Audrey Beatty, please unmute if you're with us. Okay, I'm taking it that she's not online with us. Let's go to our next speaker, John Millen.
Hi, am I live or am I still muted?
You're on. Let's go.
Okay. Hi. Just wanted to throw one last thing in about the proposed project plan that will be voted on as a resolution at the end of the agenda. I would ask that as time goes on and this project proceeds, the various steps, that we definitely try to, as the city, keep a communication to the project areas, perhaps in a special mailing, because if this is contracted out work, a contractor will probably try and work a larger area all at once, which will definitely have more traffic impact than the way the city is able to handle our lead line work. We have not had to do any major street closings to keep our lead line work going. So I guess that's the only additional thing I would mention, is, and that will occur over the next year or so. But I look forward to this project helping us move this project along in a quicker pace. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Indigo Dudley. Indigo,
hello,
are
can
you
everybody hear me?
Yes, please go ahead and speak, Indigo.
All right, perfect. Hello, everybody. My name is Indigo Dudley. I am a Saginaw resident, born and raised, and I'd like to talk to you guys today to express my interest on joining the Saginaw Arts and Enrichment Commission. I'm sure a few of you have heard, but First Ward has put together a program, and I happen to have the pleasure of being one of their first fellows, and they are helping young people like me prepare themselves to be in political roles such as the one that I've chosen. And I am just here to express my interest in being a part of the Saginaw Arts and Enrichment Commission. Music has been a very, very strong part of my life, and so has Saginaw. And I would love the honor, I would love to have the opportunity to serve the city of Saginaw doing what I do best, which is standing for the arts and how much it means and how important it is for the city. As of right now, there were 8 positions that are up for June 2021, and there have been 3 that have already been approved and 1 that is on your agenda today. And so that means that there are 4 more left, 4 more seats available left for appointment for this time around, and I am just expressing my interest in hoping that I can have a thorough consideration for it. But that is all I have. Thank you, and I hope that your meeting doesn't run too long.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Our final speaker tonight is Angie Miller.
Good evening. My name is Angie Miller. I'm the president of the Mid-Michigan Area Labor Council. On June 17th at 10 a.m., there will be a drive-through food distribution hosted by UA Local 85. Those are the plumbers, steam fitters, and HVACR. It'll be located at 3535 Bay Road. Again, this is a drive-through event, and we're doing it in conjunction with community partners, the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan and the United Way of Saginaw County. So if anyone out there is in need, please come out on June 17th and let us help you. Thank you.
Excuse me, Angie, did you say what time?
Yes, it starts at 10 a.m.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, that takes us now to the remarks of council.
Council members, remember you have 3 minutes. 3 minutes to share information with the community. And we will begin tonight with Councilwoman Scherzer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I want to say thank you to our public speakers for coming out. We definitely appreciate hearing from our constituents. I too know that a thoughtful, thorough process is being undertaken by city manager and the correct department heads to making sure that we have a great solution and effective measures in place for Ojibwe Island. It is the jewel of the parks in Saginaw, and so when we heard that while we were meeting in council meeting that the park was being destroyed, it was very disheartening. So I know we will take steps forward to make sure that we make it effective for everybody. I want to give a shout out to Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I went out there on Saturday at Victorious Believers Ministries to help them with their food giveaway on behalf of all of us on council. And it was very informative. They had COVID vaccines, COVID testing, HIV testing, and food giveaway. So thank you for what the Kappa Alpha Psi Saginaw Alumni Chapter has been around for a very long time, almost 50 years. So thank you for what you do for the community. I just want to share a couple of summer events. If you haven't heard, the Saginaw Police Department is doing the front porch roll call. The next one is June 9th at 2812 Adams Boulevard. And then after that, June 23rd at 803 North Michigan. So if you haven't participated or haven't heard about what that is, I highly suggest you get involved and talk to our police department for what they are contributing. Also, Consumers Energy's Light Up the City is going to be kicked off again this year, starting June 23rd at Arthur Eddy Academy. It is a different format this year, and I'm looking this way because this is where my information is. But it's going to be kind of like a drive-through initiative, but still effective in the community. So please make sure you get involved. Reach out if you are willing to hand out information or whatever. They could definitely use it. I also want to remind and especially council members, that the Saginaw Community Foundation's annual celebration is coming up on June 22nd. If you can, RSVP to attend, support our community foundation and their efforts to make our community just that much better. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Copeland.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to our public input speakers. So good to hear from Indigo. Glad to see young people interested in joining the commissions and boards of our city, which is amazing. I do want to also thank, I don't want to say his name incorrectly, but I think it was Mr. Wrench. I'm sorry if I said it incorrectly, but thank you for your presentation, sharing that information. I'm looking forward to sharing that too. I hope everyone had a chance to listen and gain from that information. I do want to talk about something that Bethel AME Church, they are starting a community garden. They started one this Saturday, and it was just really great. It was nice weather, good food. It was just a great time to go and support our community. They do allow organizations to sponsor boxes in their garden, so it was really great to see a lot of their community partnerships for their boxes at their community garden. Also, I do want to share that right now, on June 27th, there will be a small business expo right down at the SVRC Marketplace. I'm just enjoy seeing our small businesses, the thriving in our area. I'm so happy to see that, especially with COVID restrictions being lifted. I'm glad to see our small business thriving once again. Also, the Saginaw Economic Development Corporation will be hosting Budgeting and Finance 101 for small businesses. So if you are a local business in the area and you want information on funding, how to budget, please contact the Saginaw Economic Development Corporation. Also, I know our citizens have been receiving information from Consumers Energy. Remember, 2 to 7, those are the hot spots. So as we prepare for this hot summer, remember, if you really have to use the stuff, 2 to 7, that's where you want to kind of conserve energy. All right. That's all that I have. Glad to see everyone. Hope everyone's having a safe and holiday, and congratulations again to our graduates. Looking forward to great things coming from our young people.
Thank you. Our next presenter is Councilwoman Sylvia.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor Pro Tem, fellow council persons. From time to time, we get questions or information that does not directly come up under the line of the city council. But I will mention this because I've had so many calls. It's been all over the Facebook and just everywhere. People are asking why the young man Austin Lewis was not sentenced and he got probation, and especially the family of the late Sharon Price. All I can say, and I'd like to say, is that the prosecutor decides on the charges that people are charged. This young man was charged with a misdemeanor, and that's why the judge's hands were tied, and she could only do what she could do within the realm of those confines. So when it comes to elections, I would beseech you to go and make sure you vote. Your vote is heard. Your vote is heard, because that is how our prosecutors are elected. So so I'm asking everyone to kind of calm down. I know that's very disheartening because it hurts me, and I don't know either side. Um, so let's maybe find different ways. I don't know if the city manager can give the city direction, but it's a lot of hurt people in regards to that young lady losing her life and the young man getting probation. My other thing is I've actually talked and communicated with the city manager, and I know water shutoffs will resume on the 15th of June. And my thing is, I'd like to know, something was wrong with my computer, so some of this may have been answered, and I don't know. How much is it going to cost to resume water shut off? There's a lot of people that this is still going to bother. A lot of people have contacted me in regards to that. Some people have yet not gotten their unemployment. Some people have still not gotten stimulus payments. So I'm just wondering, why is it so important, imperative to start water shutoffs on the 15th in the middle of a worldwide pandemic? So that's all I have, and I'd like to thank all the persons that came and spoke with council today. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Williams.
Good evening, everyone. I'll keep this short, but I want to first thank our public speakers this evening. And as Councilman Copeland said, I would also like to congratulate our graduates. And it was good to hear from Ms. Indigo Dudley. And again, I reiterate that I'm looking forward to seeing what our young people are going to be doing for our city coming up. I would like to take this moment just to law enforcement plug. As we go into the summertime, I'm just asking, begging that if you see something, say something, please. We get so many times there's complaints about things not being done, whatnot. But if we don't have anyone to talk to, it is so difficult to solve cases, and it really takes a community to bring justice forward in these unfortunate events. So that's all that I have for this evening.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to echo what Councilman Williams and Copeland had said. Congratulations to all of the graduates. It's great to see graduation parties going around on the block, and that things are seeming festive, and it seems to be that we're heading into a great summer. Also, thank you to Councilman Copeland for doing the Facebook Live over at Bethel AME. Once I saw that, I grabbed as many pepper plants as I could and ran them over there because I was planting my garden. So thank you for always kind of keeping everyone informed through social media. I had just came from a City of Detroit presentation on ARPA money, and they're putting it into 5 different sections, and they're really interested. As many people know, they're one of the top 5 cities in the nation that are getting the most amount of money from this act. And the things that they were talking about, I also encourage many other council members and citizens to take up, which is fighting for intergenerational poverty, whether that be through solar energy or energy democracy or digital equity, which is giving device laptops, internet, tech support, and tech career citizens, or it be home repairs for seniors, low income, and the disability community. Vacant property cleanouts, art and cultural investment, stopping speeding through traffic enforcement, or additional speed bumps to the roadways, or adding EMS to firehouse for inadequate response to anything from drug overdoses to violent crimes. So there's a lot of talk around the state that's going on. I'm glad to be part of these conversations so I can bring it back to the city of Saginaw, so we can also kind of focus in on some of these priorities. I know that a lot of people have been speaking about the promises and the restrictions that come with this money, but I would love to see the city of Saginaw take this opportunity and move forward as quickly and as responsibly as we can.
Are you done? I'm sorry. Okay.
I can say something else.
No, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to start talking, so thank you, Councilman Flores. Next, we have Councilwoman Bitch.
Thank you. I want to thank our public speakers for being here this evening. Definitely appreciated hearing from the public. I don't want to repeat too much of what everybody else has said, but I do want to make sure. I saw Jody Wilk on the line earlier, and I do want to thank her and the Saginaw Valley Police Canine Association for all of the hard work that they consistently put in to be able to make that generous contribution to the city of Saginaw and to be able to offer that to us. It is greatly appreciated, and it's something that we could not provide for ourselves if it weren't for the hard work she puts into her organization and all the volunteers and fundraising that they have there. So very, very much appreciated. I guess to piggyback a little bit about the American Recovery Act, we are having our Local Government 101 video. We're going to record that at the end of the month. And I am trying to do my best to collect questions from the public. Obviously, any questions that council members have can be submitted to the manager's office, but any questions anybody has from the public, I'm trying to pass a Google form around so I can collect things that way. If people don't want to reach out directly to us, it's you can include your name, but you don't have to. You can include your email, but you don't have to. But it really is just a form with what questions you'd like to have answered during this presentation, because we will have our financial team there, and we will also have the Michigan Municipal League representatives there, so we can help the citizens understand a little bit more about what that money means for the community and start talking a little bit more about what we're going to be able to do with it. I believe that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilman Ostash.
Thanks, Mayor. I've got a few things to go over tonight. And first of all, I want to say that June 19th, I've teamed up with the fireworks team, and we are going to be doing actually a volunteer event. It's going to be at Saginaw High School. It's going to start at 10 a.m. in the morning till 3 p.m. in the afternoon. They are going to provide lunch, refreshments, snacks, tables for everybody. And what we're going to do is we're going to sort cans, and they have an agreement with Fabiano Brothers that if we can get them sorted, Fabiano Brothers will take them and get rid of them for us, and then they'll get all the money for it. So that is one of our consent agenda items tonight too. So I'm hearing from them that they really want to put the fireworks on. They're still trying to raise money. It's just going to be a little bit different this year. Also, I want to give a big shout out to my friend Hattie Norwood. Her PCI group is doing a 12-week cleanup here in the city. She's also over at the First Ward Community Service Center, and she's if you want to drop off any donations, she could use gloves or bags. She's even mentioning boots for the kids because they are in the weeds, and her group is doing that. So Hattie, I will be dropping off some items this week, as hopefully tomorrow I'm going to get over there and do that for you. Also, I saw the Huntington Event Park is starting their events again on June 4th. They're going to have some live events starting there. So their schedule is out on their Facebook page and their website, and tickets to the events can be purchased through the site as well. Also, this is Pride Month, so I want to wish a happy Pride to the LGBTQ plus community and their allies. Great Lakes Bay Pride is not having an event this year in Bay City. It takes a lot of planning, so back in January, the decision was made by the board to not have it, but they are doing Pride at Home, and you can pick up signs through them and put them in your front yard if you choose. So you can contact them through their Facebook page or their website. Also, just to note that June 5th did mark the 40th year since the first 5 cases of AIDS was diagnosed by the CDC in Los Angeles. So kind of going along with Councilwoman Scherzer, I'm glad you brought that up. We do have resources here in our neighborhood. The Hearth Home through Great Lakes Bay Health Centers is right here on Hoyt Avenue. A lot of resources, questions, you can contact them, free HIV testing right there at the site. Also, if you think you've been in contact, maybe you've been exposed, they can help you with that too. Or if you are diagnosed positive, it's a great resource to kind of help some of those fears and things that you need to do. So a great resource here in our own city. One of the things I see every year, because the geese are definitely over on Ezra by the water treatment plant, and they're having families. And so I want to say thanks to the Geese Patrol people tonight again. It made me happy coming home from the YMCA that people were kind of slowing down, putting their blinkers on, letting people know, and letting the families cross the street. So thank you to the folks in the city who care about that, because that does happen every year. Can't stop nature. So it's just a thing that happens by the water treatment plant.
Councilman Ostash, your time has expired.
I was just going to say I'm done.
Thank you. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem Balls.
I'd like to thank all the speakers who are coming and speaking to the City Council this evening. Indigo, Angie, especially Indigo, about getting involved in the city. It's so good to have young people want to get involved in all the city activities. You can only make it better for all of us by you being involved. Angie, thanks for passing along the food giveaway by Local 85. My son was a Local 85 member, pipe fitter, and we appreciate all the work that the unions do for the city of Saginaw. There will be a Juneteenth celebration, I think, at the Stevie Wonder Memorial, 1315 North 5th Street on the 19th. I think some people will be gathering there for that event, and I plan to attend myself. I also did attend the Bethel Church blessing of the planter boxes. Due to the fact that I'm with the youth bill, they gave us 3 boxes for our youth to make some plants, and to eventually harvest our labor later on this year. The youth bill students built all of those boxes over there. They built 46 boxes, 4 feet by 8 feet boxes, and they did it in a matter of probably 6 days. It took them to build those boxes as they was going to school. Some of the kids had never even used a power tool before. They had to use the saw to cut them, and they had to put them together and screw them together. And we started off real slow, but after a while, we had assembly line going, and it was really good to see how they became unified as building the boxes. You know, we started. I told them, I said, "Man, this is how they work in assembly line. Everybody got their part to do, and let's keep it moving." And they did a good job on that. So the students are really glad to come and see all the people out there planting their plants, man. It really made them guys feel good, man. I'm telling you, when you see a kid who never used a power tool before and see when they produce something, the feeling that they get, you can feel it in yourself when you see what they do. And I'd like to thank all of my fellow city council people for the work that you guys do outside of just being involved in the city council. I know we do a lot of stuff. We're not just involved in the city. We got other things that we do. Councilman Flores, I'd like to thank you for going all the way to Detroit to find out more about the American Recoveries Act. And if you can, email me all the information you got. And I'm sure the rest of the council would like to see that too, so we can bring some of those great ideas to our city. Thank you very much for putting that special time in. I'd like to put a shout out to Dr. Hinton for getting the youth together to get involved in the politics and stuff like that of our city, and to get involved in the other organizations and committees. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing to have somebody.
Mayor Pro Tem, your time has expired.
I'm taking 3 minutes from next time too. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Janet.
I'd like to thank, it's my turn. I'd like to thank all of our public input people, community people who expressed interest in a lot of stuff. And I'd also like to just mention that I know that there is a lot of talk about the American Relief money. I am 100% certain that we have not yet got any money in. And we have not began our talks and negotiations. And we do plan to have the community come in. So contrary to what others are saying or doing, the city council, along with the city staff, we plan to talk about it. The other thing is that there are certain people in our community, and we hear, but I'm just asking people, when you do stuff, please hand out the correct information, please. Because when it is not the correct information, we get the city all in an uproar. And it doesn't have to be that way. And anybody that really wants to know anything about the city, I'm sure you can ask any of us council people, along with myself, the city manager, and staff. We will help you. If we don't know the answer, I can speak for all of my fellow council persons. If we don't know the answer, we will try to get it for you. That's what we're here for. We are servant. We're here to serve you, not you serve us. I just felt like I needed to say that today, because I hear people, even with the water situation, to me, we're totally unique. Most cities started cutting off April 1st. We gave 2.5 months, and we are encouraging, and I'm doing it right now, putting a plea out. Anyone who has a delinquent water bill, please contact our city water department to make arrangements. That is not our intentions to cut people's water off, but we have been asking for the last 6 meetings, and we've been directing people. There is still funds available in the community. Please reach out. Please reach out. On the 15th, do I want to cut water off? No. But the longer we keep going, the more the bill is going to get higher on the city. So community people, please work with us on this one. Please. I'm begging. Please. Yes, I'm begging, council people. I'm begging. Please work with us so that we can move on and begin to start talking about what we need to do. Thank you so much, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. That now takes us to the reports from the manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council and city clerk. a few items here, and we do have a presentation as well. I will first state that we have not received any funds, as the mayor mentioned. We have applied for them or done our, it's a portal, we have done that, but we have not received any funds. And I will assure council and the public that we are going to follow all of the grant rules, period. I will count on city staff and the state treasury and our federal advisors to let us know what are allowable expenses, because frankly, my name is on the grant. I signed those grant papers, and that's who I am going to rely on to say what's an allowable expense, and we'll always share that information. And the mayor is absolutely correct on everything she said. We do intend to get input, and we do intend to share what's allowed, and if something is we don't believe is not allowed for those grant expenses, we'll share that information as well if those proposals come in. So I want to assure everyone of that. We have been talking about water shutoffs for several months. I think I've included it on my update. Every meeting for the past several meetings, the mayor's correct on that as well. We did not resume shutoffs when it was allowable. We gave a few months worth of grace period for that to allow people to get additional assistance. But you cannot continue to keep going without any enforcement, because you're going to end up having a cash flow issue in the water fund. The water fund is an enterprise fund, so it's run like a business. There are no tax dollars that go into that fund. It's all funded by those water use charges. And right now we're in excess of $1 million past due. That is significant. And it's something that we do need to move forward on. And so it is imperative to get that taken care of. I think if it gets too out of hand, then it can become a cash flow issue. Like I mentioned, it can also become an issue that the auditors tag on there, because we're not enforcing our own collections. So it is something that we have to do, and there is still assistance out there, as the mayor said. We've attempted to contact everyone who is past due to let them know to make payment arrangements or seek assistance. If you talk to the city water department and you make payment arrangements, you will not be shut off. So please contact the city, make payment arrangements, and make sure you stick to those payment arrangements, and you will continue to have your water service. Regarding criminal cases, the city's role in that is limited to making arrests, conducting investigations, and assisting and testifying in court. We don't decide what charges are made, and we don't adjudicate those cases. As Councilwoman Lamar Sylvia said, we have a limited role, and we conduct our role as we can, and then we hand those cases off, and they go through the prosecutor's office to decide the charges, and then it goes up to the court at that point. So if there are questions about things like that, we can address those as they come in. If there's council members contacted, please make sure you send those questions to us so we can assist in any way that we possibly can. June 9th is the first meeting of our Saginaw Citizens Police Advisory Commission. Since this is their first meeting, I think there'll be a lot of housekeeping issues on there from looking at their agenda, but I expect that the commission members will introduce themselves to the public at that meeting, and also talk about their goals for that group. So again, that's June 9th, and I'm sure we'll probably share some of that information on the meeting time on the social media too, so it gets out there. I'm sure any of you who have children or nephews or nieces or grandchildren or anything know how much the splash pad has meant to those kids throughout the years since we installed that. And we've had issues with staffing with that, and however, we're moving forward with that, and I think we're going to have at least even if it's a reduced schedule, we'll have that splash pad open very soon. And I want to thank our human resources staff and our marketing team for putting that information out there so we could get more applicants, and also thank some of our other employees from other departments have volunteered to work shifts at that splash pad so that we can get it open. So hopefully we'll have that open soon, even if it is a more limited schedule, because I know how much that means for families to get out there and utilize it. And finally, the Saginaw Valley Police Canine Association provides assistance to law enforcement agencies by covering the costs for police dogs, training, medical expenses, dog food equipment, car inserts, carriers, leads, harnesses, heat alarms, and other costs related to the canine unit. And they also provide funding for veterinary care for retired canines. The SVPCA has been involved in all of our recent dog purchases. I think when I started with the city, I believe we had 2 canine units that were city funded. Since then, I think all of the replacement dogs have been funded through the Saginaw Valley Police Canine Association, and they do quite a bit of fundraising and activities. So I did ask Jody Wilk, who's with the association, if she would like to have a few minutes this evening at the council meeting to kind of give council members an update on the organization and some background, or if you have any questions. So Jody, I'll turn it over to you at this point.
Thank you so much. I will do my best to keep it short. Anyone who knows me when it comes to the dogs, I can keep you online here for a while. So the association has actually, since the last time we've talked, it's been a couple years, but we have moved on to new and exciting things, including the covering of medical bills for the retired canines. We're currently taking care of Canine Canjo, who retired from the city of Saginaw in early 2019. We are also taking care of a retired canine from Aranet County. We, over the summer, signed an agreement with and partnered with the Bay City Department of Public Safety in helping the fundraising for their canine program. And then also helped the Ogama County Sheriff's Department last summer acquire a canine and got him all outfitted. Regarding the city of Saginaw, though, we went down a canine in January after Canine Envy retired. His handler officer, Stacer, had 24 years of service into the city of Saginaw and retired. Due to Envy's, he was young still, could still work, but his drive was definitely too much for a brand new handler to take on. So we worked with the chief and allowed Envy to retire with Officer Stacer. And we are excited to announce and introduce virtually Canine Aries, who is a 1.5-year-old Belgian Malinois from Mexico. He will do the same things that Canine Envy did, and actually same thing that 3 of the current canines are doing. He's a dual-purpose narcotics canine, trained in narcotics detection, tracking, article searches, apprehension, and handler protection. He is partnered with Officer Jordan Englehart. They actually began their training today. They've done some meet and greets already in the last few months. They've kind of been hanging out together at training when the other canines are together. He is being purchased for $12,500. That is funds that we have been raising at a variety of events over the last several years. And he's going to be trained by Scott LaRoe with Magnum Canine out of Quincy, Michigan. Scott's actually the current trainer for all of the canines with the city of Saginaw currently. We just came off on a fantastic weekend at Frankenmuth Dog Bowl, where we did fundraising actually not just for the city of Saginaw, but several other canine programs around the mid-Michigan region. But for the city of Saginaw, we were able to raise nearly $10,000 in donations for the city of Saginaw canines. So that money will be utilized in preparation for 2 more Saginaw canines to be retired. Most likely over the next year, we'd be looking at Canine Mitch and Canine Debo both retiring, like I said, probably by summer of next year at the latest. And then we would prepare for Canine Segan because he's getting up there in age. And then also just a shout out to Pretty Pooch. They're a grooming company in Saginaw. They currently take care of Canine Harvey and retired Canine Maverick from Buena Vista. They set up a booth on Saturday at Dog Bowl and trimmed dog nails for $10, and they raised $1,100 for the City of Saginaw canines that they donated. So that's a whole lot of dog nails to trim for one day. So we appreciate the girls for doing that. And then finally, we have the Saginaw guys are putting together a golf outing fundraiser on August 15th at Valley View Golf Course. So if we have any golfers on council or those who are watching, if they want to get a hold of Officer McGregor, he is Canine Harvey's handler. You can reach out to him and he'll get you set up for a team. So if anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
No questions. I have a comment. I'd like to thank you for the work that you do to help out our police department and our citizens for getting these dogs to us at no cost. You are really a beautiful person for doing what you're doing. I appreciate it. You're doing God's work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've been, when we started it, it was just Officer Stacer, Officer Wenzel at the time, and myself, and then my mom. And over the years, we have developed some fantastic friendships. You have some really great residents in the city of Saginaw who dedicate a lot of time for this program, and definitely can't do it without them. So shout out to particularly Deb and Dennis Murphy in the city of Saginaw. They've been wonderful. They're great friends, and I appreciate them so much.
Jody, this is Councilman Williams. I would just like to say too, thank you so much for all that you do. We have in Buena Vista right now, we have Officer Stacer, and it was great to take him from, being with the city for so long and then being able to put him and the K9 right back into service with our department is awesome. But the work and the money that you guys raise for the city is amazing. I mean, just great work. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I was really excited that Envy was able to get back to work. He's too good of a dog to sit at home on the couch. So I'm glad he's working, and he's close to the city of Saginaw still too. So he's in familiar territory.
Jody, I'd like to thank you, and I'm still waiting on my dog. It's been 8 years, and I'm still waiting for me a puppy. But no, you do fabulous work. And when I first got on council, I used to be scared of the puppies or the dogs. Not now. I'm not now because I see that the individuals who have them, they have control. And I really appreciate that. Even with the young children that come up with them, they don't bother. And so for that, I thank you. And I do thank you, like all of my fellow council persons, for all that you do and have done for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's the one thing that we like about getting dogs from Scott LaRoe. The dogs that he raised or then he trains, his kids are around them. So, and he recognizes and knows that these dogs are important for public relations. And especially being a donation funded program, they need to be out in the community. And if they're not comfortable being around people or kids, that makes the fundraising difficult. So I think you'll be excited for Canine Aries and Officer Englehart. Excited to get Saginaw back to 24/7 canines again. So, and we'll be prepared for Mitch and Steve-O to be retiring when they're ready.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Jody. And I will say, Mayor and Council, that it didn't just happen that those dogs are more I think community friendly. That's a concerted effort by Chief and Jody and everybody who works there to make sure that they get dogs that are good workers and are also good ambassadors for the police department. And they really made an effort to utilize them to work with children and introduce children to police and the dogs. And they do a great job with that. And also, if you've seen Jody and the other members of the association that work with them at the events, they work really hard at those events, making contact with people, showing them what they do, and they do really good work there. And finally, I would say that, and Councilman Williams knows this as well, those dogs that we have, they do go out countywide. We assist other agencies. So they're a benefit to the entire county and who we work with. And they've done some great things, finding missing children and different things like that. So we really appreciate the work the association does and the work that they're doing with our police department, the other departments in the areas too. So we thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I would like the city manager to please let our viewers know that we are in the need for employees in certain departments, particularly grass cutting, because a lot of people go to the cemeteries during the summertime to visit their loved ones. And I think we need to let people know, all the citizens of the city of Saginaw, we need more employees. There are jobs available. So when people say they can't find a job, tell them to come look at the city and see if they can find a job here.
Yes, you can go to the City of Saginaw's website and see all of our jobs that are available. And also, you can apply online, or you can come into the Human Resources office and get an application and go from there. I think Mayor Pro Tem Balls for mentioning that.
Alice, for the water bills contacting the water department, is there a percentage to, when starting the payment plan, is there a percentage that they have to put down, or is it just call whatever you can pay, just start the plan, and then we will work with you from there?
You know, it really varies on the balance, but if someone calls in and they can make a reasonable amount of payment, you know, we're not going to say, if you owe $200, well, you have to pay $75 a week or anything like that. Just make the arrangement. And we really want people to work to get caught up, but if they can commit to making some payment, and then we know that people are still trying to contact agencies to help get funding with that. And also there is funding that will be coming out through some other agencies similar to what came out earlier, or actually it was last year, I believe, that people will be able to get. Yeah, call and talk to them. They're really willing to work with people, and they're there and there to do that and make those arrangements. We don't want to turn anybody off. So, but we can't. We're required by ordinance to make sure we do get payments. We have in our ordinance, it states that nobody can have free water service. So we're required to do that. But yeah, call. Encourage everyone to call and make arrangements. Offer them what you can pay, and go from there, and maybe that can increase with time. I would also mention that we would be in far worse shape if it wasn't for the previous funding, because I believe from that previous funding was almost $700,000 in payments. So we would be at nearly $2 million in past due, and that would be a very extreme impact on our cash for the water fund, and would impact our paying our own bills out that we have through the water system for treatment and wages and salaries. So it was good that was included. Hopefully there will be a similar amount of money that can be allocated. I believe that's going to go through The CAC, again, they may contract with another CAC. Mayor Moore probably knows about that already since she works with them as well, but it probably will go a similar way that did the first time.
Thank you. And my second question is for the positions for the city of Saginaw. One of the job requirements was a high school, to be a high school graduate or a GED equivalent. Has the city ever made provisions, or is it possible to make provisions if we have someone who fits all the qualifications, but they are not high school graduates or received a GED?
That's something we can look into and get back to you with that, Councilman. I don't know if that's occurred, but I can get with our HR department and get you a response for that.
Thank you so much. And I just thought about it when he said the jobs. That's why I didn't get it to you sooner. So
oh, that's fine. Sure.
A couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Didn't know if I need to be recognized. Okay. Couple quick questions. I'm still on the water. I'd like to know from the city manager. I know you can't go into other agencies and help them run their business, but I've had several people and a couple of people I know personally that said they had put in application with United Way. I've had actually 2 or 3 people say they put an application with United Way over 2 months ago and have not heard anything back. So, do you know any kind of way or anything how they can contact United Way? Is there another way? I guess they went online or something and filled out an application. I guess that's the only way that I knew of. If there is anything else, I don't know. My other question would be, what are we going to do? What are the city going to do with people that have abandoned their homes and or property? How will the city go to recoup those dollars from those persons?
So with regard to the outside agencies, you're right. I don't know how they're processing their applications. I know United Way did contact people who were eligible for their funding. I believe they sent out letters and hundreds of letters, I think, a few weeks ago, and that's one of the reasons why we did push off our shut off. So it could be that they received a lot of applications, but my recommendation would be to contact them directly and ask them, and also contact 211. There are other resources too. Pre-COVID and other times, individuals would contact the state of Michigan Health and Human Services to get assistance, and that's for low-income individuals. I would encourage doing all of those things. If people are having trouble, go to multiple agencies and make those requests. With regard to people who abandon properties, all city charges in those cases do roll to tax, including water, and that's something that comes to council for approval. So the rubbish fee does that, water fee does that every year. Everything most of those charges will roll to the tax bill. So if they continue to pay their taxes, then they'll end up having to pay that bill. I'll say we do have back from 2008, 2009, that time period, we did have significant chargebacks on those. Not to get into too much detail on how that functions, but those do get paid when the county buys the tax roll, and then if the people don't pay, they have 3 years to pay. If they don't pay, then those become chargebacks, and we haven't seen the level of chargebacks that we saw back in 2009, 10, 11. So those are getting paid at a much higher level than they used to be, and that includes taxes, rubbish, water, any kind of fines like that we have for lawn mowing or things like that. Those all roll to tax the same way.
Okay. And my last question would be, with the water shut off, that whole process is uh, is that going to cost us just as much as it would for the people still not paying their water bill yet? I mean, what is there a substantial cost in doing water shutoffs and back ons probably?
There's a cost in that the employees are doing the service, but those employees are still employed with the city. Phil Carbot has shifted those employees to other areas within the water department, but they'll go back to those duties. So there's not any new cost associated with the shutoffs that the department incurs.
Okay, thank you.
You are welcome. So we do have a presentation this evening as well from Mr. Phil Carwatt on lead service lines. And I know a lot of council members have been interested in that, and you've probably gotten questions. And Councilman Ostash requested this presentation quite some time ago. So they've been working on it, and I'll turn it over to Phil at this point so that he can share the presentation with you.
Thank you, Tim. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, fortunately and unfortunately, the unfortunate part, I think this is my first presentation since we went to virtual meetings, but fortunately, I hope this is some good information for everybody. Some of you, it might be a refresher. I know we have some new council members, so this will probably be new for you. I'm hoping when I get done with this presentation, you'll have a better idea of why we're doing what we're doing and where we're at with what we're doing. So, but before I begin, my name's Philip Carwatt. I'm the public service director for the city. For those of you that I haven't met yet, I did want to give a thank you to Susan Franklin, her, Paul Reinsch, Josh Hoffman, and Wayne Tornberg for assisting in preparing this presentation. There was a lot of information in it. I did my best to shorten it, but I got a lot of notes here. So if you see me keep looking down, it's just to get some facts for you. And then one thing, just for informational purposes, yet for anybody that doesn't know, Paul, and I appreciate all that Paul does for the water system. Paul is the director of water and wastewater treatment facilities, and I'm the director of public services, but we do a lot of work together. Paul basically oversees both of the plants, and my responsibility as the director of public services is I oversee the maintenance and service division, which is responsible for the collection system, the distribution system, and the transmission system. So Paul, for the most part, gets the raw water, gets it treated, pushes it into the pipes that I'm then responsible for. So a majority of the lead service line replacement is actually most of it all right now is being completed by employees in our maintenance and service division. So that's just a little bit of information for any of you new council members that might not have known that. And a little bit of history, because we supply drinking water to the public, we're required by the state to follow certain rules and guidelines. We're governed under the Safe Drinking Water Act of 399 that was established. The first lead copper rule was established in 1991. In 1986, the EPA banned lead in materials for new plumbing and plumbing repairs. So we've had, since 91, we've had certain rules and guidelines that we needed to follow. But in 2014, the Flint water crisis obviously brought an issue to the national level of lead in drinking water. So once that happened, following that, the government, the state government, and the governor established a multitude of stakeholder and public meetings to discuss the issue with lead and what can be done with lead in drinking water. And with all of that, there was a new lead copper rule that was finalized. The draft rule was done in January of 18, and it was finalized in June of 18. And it pretty much, it's a 200-300 page document, for the most part stayed the same, but there were some major changes that had cost implications to them. And obviously the major change was the requirement to change out any lead service line and or lead service line connected to galvanized or any other material similar. So that was the biggest cost impact change, but a lot of the other ones were required to keep a material inventory or a distribution system material inventory.
The action level, the lead action level currently is at 15 parts per billion, but as of January 1st of 2025, that is going to go down to 12 parts per billion. They required the formation of a water advisory committee, a local water advisory committee, public education, which many of you, if you've been on our website or if you've received any of our mailings, we do mail out to the public and have education information for how to possibly reduce any potential for lead in your water. And then they also required us to incorporate our lead service line replacement program into our asset management plan. Just some more information, brief review of the state's new lead and copper rule. Under the new rule, the state put together an advisory council for the state. There were some legal challenges after that from several communities in Michigan. However, and they filed a lawsuit. However, through the lawsuit, the judge upheld the state's LCR rule, and there were no changes made due to that lawsuit. And then, the new law was put in June of 18, the new rule, the lead copper rule. Again, I stated earlier, it required the city to put together a community advisory council, of which November 26th of 2018, City Council did approve a resolution creating a water advisory council. And then on December 3rd, City Council of 2018 appointed the board members. There's 5 members on that water advisory council, which meet monthly or every other month to talk about what we're doing, how we're doing, and if there's anything we can do better. And I mean, the 5 individuals on there are Paul Ranch, Tom Darnell, Tom Darnell is a retired city public works director, and he's on there, so he has a lot of knowledge in the water. Paul Ranch, obviously, as the director of water and wastewater. Carissa Hillman, who is the Saginaw County Emergency Preparedness Coordinator. Ron Sharp is a retired chemistry professor at Delta. And Rick Hopper is the director of public works for Thomas Township, and he's also our wholesale customer representative for all of our wholesale water customers. So them are the 5 members on the board that meet regularly to discuss what we're doing with this and to make recommendations. So I just wanted everybody to know that. Again, per the new rule, there were certain timelines and deadlines we needed to hit. A preliminary distribution system material inventory, the deadline for that to the state was January 1st, 2020. So basically what that was is the state required us to submit to them, what, based on our records, based on old cards and records and history of information from the city, can we put together our best information and let them know what are we dealing with here? Like how many lead connections do we have? How many lead connections and extensions, or lead once or another material like galvanized tied to lead? So we turned that into them. And then another deadline is that by January 1st of 2021, we had to start our replacement program. But the city actually started the replacement program earlier than that. We started around 2018-19, just because we knew the new rule was coming and there was no sense to try to make a repair on a lead connection when you knew, within a matter of weeks to months, you were going to come back and have to replace that. So we did really good at beating that deadline. And then by January 1st of 2025, which is 5 years from the preliminary systems distribution material inventory, we have to have a verified material inventory list. So basically what that means is the city through our information, we have like 30,000 connections total. So of the 30,000, there's approximately 18,000 what we're going to call active connections, or that's to one of our residential units that have an active water service. So the difference between them two is 12,000. But we know we have 17,500 or 18,000 current active water users. So somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 of the 30,000 are actually copper services or other type of material that already meets the state requirements that won't have to be replaced. So we're looking at, having to replace up to 12,000 of them. But then the other ones that were cut off because we vacated a house or something, them normally get cut off in the right of way or at the house or behind the curb. They don't get cut off back at the main. But the new lead copper rule
requires that we now go back to the water main, cut it off at the water main, and abandon it at the water main because it's still an illicit connection that could be holding water in a lead service. And then if you get a break or you get a fire and you open up a fire, if you create a vacuum effect, you could suck that water back into the system and cause contamination. So we are required as well to cut all of the abandoned lines off back to the main. So this is some stuff here. I just, in 2019, we began the replacement. We completed over 600 emergency replacements between 18 and 19. We launched the Water Advisory Board, which I told you the members on that. We did create in 2019, for tracking purposes, a new lead service line division within the water fund. And our first annual budget of 1920 was about $435,000 for that division. The current budget we're working in is $1,586,000, and the proposed fiscal year 22 budget is $1,575,000. So that's the division that we're working out of to do these replacements. I'll keep this short because Paul talked about it, but you know, we are looking at and trying to find ways to reduce the burden on all the customers as it goes to replacing, you know, these lead service lines. However, when the state implemented the new rule, they didn't provide a funding mechanism for it. The state's right in the rule that the users are responsible for the replacement of this. They also made us responsible for not only the connection, which has historically been the city's responsibility, which is that portion of water line from the main to the curb stop, which sits between the curb and the sidewalk. They also made us responsible for the extension, which goes from the curb stop all the way into the meter. So we're basically now responsible for the entire water service line from the main to the meter. So that's what's all included in the replacement. But Paul talked about this. I'm hopeful that we're going to get the $5 million, as he stated. That would be contracted work. We don't have enough employees internally to add that additional workload to them, but going hand in hand, we're hopeful over the life of the project that will at some point either reduce the timeline of the replacement or ultimately the annual payment amount to each customer for that lead service cost. Progress to date, I mentioned, we know we have at least 12,000, what we're going to say, active service lines to replace. We've got just over 2,000 of those replaced to date, which is just over 18%. And then work zones. We put this map together to just kind of show, I know we get a lot of questions geographically as to where work is being completed. So, and in here you see 61% west side, 39 east side. That is basically what our active certified house count is. So, you know, you got 60 some percent active west side, 39% east side. But this is where the work to date has been completed, either with a replacement or a verification within the city. So I was just trying to zoom in there so you guys could see a little better. Again, this is just some numbers that I had spoken on earlier. 30,000 service lines, preliminary verifications. This is just some information. Part of the verification process, and this is where we have to actually physically see the service, we just can't go based on our records, is if you've seen the hydro excavator going out in the city, we have to excavate either side of the curb stop, the city street side of it, the house side, and then we actually have to get inside of the house to verify that what type of material that service line actually is. Of the 30,000, we have almost 4,000 completed, so we're at about 13%. And again, as stated earlier, that information is due to the state by January 1st of 2025. And then just what's next, we're going to wait to see what the state's decision is on the $5 million grant. Paul talked about that. If we receive that, I believe we're going to get the bids out sometime March of 22, and then hopefully start the construction on that. And then under our annual program with the budget I gave you, we're hopeful that we can replace about 750 of these per year. If things go well based on the type of construction we're doing, I'm hoping we can maybe do more. We're going to continue to do the verifications, additional public outreach.
And with that, if there's any questions, one thing I did want to state, if there's anybody that's interested in trying to figure out what type of line they have, what type of material they have, they can call our maintenance and service division at 759-1612, and we'll do our best to help address that for them. So with that, I guess if there's any questions that I may help.
Do we have any questions?
No, just Ostash is here, Mayor. No, Phil, thanks for putting that together. That is kind of a recap, and then also where we're at, because we do. I know I do get questions on this quite a bit from our residents. They're kind of wondering, like, where are we at, and they knew that we had this 2025 deadline, and have we identified everybody? And so I guess the question I do have is, we probably haven't like contacted everybody yet. We're still in that process there. We're still kind of like know, because I was looking at the map that you had there with all the blue.
Yeah, so the way it's working is like, so obviously well in advance of going into their property, I believe we're doing door hangers so to do the verification, we're hanging a door hanger on the door, and we're giving them, like, we'd like to within 10 days, if we can plan a time. I mean, we're not like, if you're getting a washer or dryer delivered, you have to be here between these 4 hours. We're trying to be more accommodating to the homeowners, so we want to give them a bigger window of when we can come back and get in that fits their schedule versus dictating that. But the replacement side of it, so what we're doing, because the intent of this is to get the lead out. So through our records, what we're doing is mapping where the highest locations of lead connections are, and or where is the highest concentration of parts per billion in our water quality testing. Because as I said earlier, when the state requires that our 90th percentile of our water sampling, if that gets to 15 parts per million, that's the action level. Anything greater than that, we're in violation. So as we do those 60 residents, and they've amped up our water quality testing. We used to do it every 3 years. I believe Paul could speak more to that because that's under the water treatment plan. But our testing has increased due to this. We're doing like 60 tests a year, and we're doing a 2-part, a first liter and a 5th liter. But when we get those results back, and we can see, is somebody at 0 parts per billion, 2 parts per billion, if we start seeing those that are between 10 and 15 parts per billion, we know they more than likely have a lead connection or a lot of lead solder or a galvanized connection that was once tied to lead. So they're first on our list once we find that out. But then through our mapping, throughout the city, once we start to determine, like, if a certain section of street has the highest concentration of lead lines, we want to get over there and do those. And it's just kind of, as you could see on the map, it's balancing itself out almost exactly to where the active service lines are based on the percentages of certified house counts. So it's coming out right around that 69, 31, 65, 35 percentage. So we did also, when we started doing this, is reach out for daycares. We wanted to hit the daycares first, and we're actually working with the Saginaw County Health Department to determine where the women, infant, children locations are as well, to get some of those first.
Okay, this is all really good information, and you also touched on something too, because the other question I get is, well, how do I know when they're going to be coming to my house? So door knockers, you're going to have something on your door. Then you kind of know when the city's coming, and you can be aware of that. So thank you for that piece there too. That's good information.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Also, Phil, I'd like to thank you for the presentation. Under public outreach materials, when you at the last bullet, neighborhood group meetings, what are those? What do they consist of? And are you yet having those?
Yeah, so that was pre-pandemic, because this stuff all kicked in 2018. So what we were doing is, during not only the citywide neighborhood group meetings that we used to have in the council chambers, where pretty much the president of an association or organization or anybody that is a part of one were more than welcome to attend. We were handing out a lot of information. You've probably seen flyers, because there's a lot of ways to, when you get up in the morning, you shouldn't just turn your drinking fountain on and drink your water. You should let your water run for 3 to 5 minutes. And what that does is any and all of the water that's been sitting in them lead or galvanized pipes overnight, you got a lead to water contact. That's how the particulates get into the water, and then you can so if you can turn that on and let it flush for a while, you'll pull the water from the main, and then you'll have a lot less, if any, lead in it. But that's where we were handing out a lot of publication. We have worked with Jeff Klopsick in IT, and we got on our website a lot of public outreach information about our lead, copper, and what we're doing. And also it has a lot of links to the state's website and EPA's website that you can learn about it. So that's what that was saying is. But now that now that the pandemic hit, other than through email or we haven't been having WebEx virtuals or anything with the neighborhood groups, but we're more than willing to meet with anybody and get them any information we can related to this. So
okay, thank you so very much.
Yeah, comment, Phil, on that too, and kind of goes, maybe this would be good information for others as well, is Phil said something really important too. This is from the main to the meter. So once it transitions from the meter into the house, that's another situation too. So even when we're done with this project, yours personally lives in an 1893 built home. So I've had to do upgrades inside the house as well to get rid of galvanize and get that over to another system. So yeah, that could be something for our residents to do too, is that if they're not familiar with, they might want to find out like what is inside their house as well that they might have to take care of. Yeah.
Anyone else? Phil, I'd like to thank you as always. Job well done. You and the water department, you and Paul. Job well done. But I always got to complain. When my grass gonna grow back?
I don't want it to. We as was stated earlier, we're so understaffed that the less grass I have to cut, the better off we are. So we need rain, Mayor. We need rain.
We do need rain. We keep getting drizzles. We need rain. City Manager, Mr. Morales.
That completes the management update, Madam Mayor.
No one had any more questions to Phil, did they? I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Morales. We are now at the consent agenda. The information has been provided on City Hall and on our webpage and on SGTV channel 191. I need a motion with exceptions for the consent agenda.
Move, Monique Sylvia.
Oh, bench seconds.
It's been moved to second. Do I have any exceptions?
Number 3.
It has been moved in second with the exception of number 3. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Madam Clerk.
Exception to item number 3 is to approve the professional services agreement with Abrero Creative for $16,000 for video production services. Councilman Flores.
Thank you. Was this agreement, did any other production companies in the area, specifically in the city of Saginaw, were they offered the same agreement, or is this something that was between the Saginaw marketing team and Abrero?
It looks like Yolanda Jones is logging in, Councilman, so I'll just give her a second to get on. She's her and Vicky are coordinating for the marketing team, so here she is.
Good evening. I'm sorry I missed your message. I was switching over to the live meeting. So how can I help you tonight, Mr. Flores, Councilman Flores?
I asked, did the marketing team, the other production company, City of Saginaw, just from Mid-Abrero Company?
The marketing team put out proposals for qualifications. So we looked at multiple different I say vendors to when we were considering the video production. We've had people from Washington to Florida. We ultimately selected Ibero Creative because they are native to the region. So
there are none from the city of Saginaw.
actually, the person that's in charge of Ibero, Dustin Newmeyer, he is from the city of Saginaw.
They're located in Midland.
He's actually working from the city of Saginaw location, and he's partner with SMG to work on this production. So you have one individual that may be working from Midland, but the company itself is right here in the city of Saginaw. So he lives here. He's working from the city.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, not questions, a comment, because I too had questions in regards to number 3. But due to my iPad not working, I got these when I came into council today. It really explains a lot, especially about redevelopment ready community.
Mm-hmm.
So had I had this information before, I would have been real good. But I'm good because I read that real fast. So I don't have any questions. I just wanted to make that comment in regards to that because I did have a question in regards to number 3 also. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I move for the acceptance of consent agenda item number 3.
Potential second.
It's been moved in second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. You are now at boards, commission, and committee reports.
Do we have any council persons who want to report any meetings, any board or commission meeting that they attended, or any community meetings?
I do, Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
So for Saginaw Economic Development Corporation, I just want to put out there, we do have some open seats. We have vacancies on the board. So if there's anybody interested on serving on the Saginaw Economic Development Corporation, please contact the clerk's office, have a great conversation, and apply. But also coming soon, we should have some information on the Behringer building. I'm not sure. I just received notification that our meeting is canceled this month, but I know we need to make some action items on the Behringer building, so that will be coming forward soon. And then I had one more, but I forgot, so I'll just leave it there.
That's okay. It'll come back to you.
Right.
Anyone else? I attended Region 7's meeting. We are moving along really, really well. It's very interesting that how much money Saginaw gets and how it's broken out. And so I'm making it my charge for my senior citizens to make sure we get our fair shake in the city. We are entitled to money like everyone else. And so the board members I work with on that are really, really good. And so I have only one other person from Saginaw on there with me, and I think we do a tag team. I think we do a pretty good job with making sure we're focused in on what we need to be for Saginaw. Okay, that's it for my report. Madam, anyone else? I'm sorry. My fellow council persons, if you are not already on a board or commission, please, let's get involved. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, your next order of business is appointment of board and commission members.
I need a motion. We're going to do all 2 of them at the same time. Can we do it that way, Madam Clerk?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I motion to accept appointment 1 and 2 on the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported by Councilwoman Scherzer. Any discussion?
George made the motion. Sorry.
Any discussion here? No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you so much, Madam Clerk.
We are now at ordinance introduction. We have one this evening, and it's an ordinance to amend the official city map to rezone the newly split lot to be located at 3111 Sheridan Avenue from R1 Single Family Residential to B2 General Business.
I need a motion to introduce, and and then it's the zoning act and the ordinance will be laid over for 30 days. I need a motion.
Bench makes the motion.
Williams support.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I had two people talking at one time. Who I got?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. What I wanted to know in regards to this ordinance is that were the other, because I know it has to do with Dollar General, etc. Have were the other businesses informed that this is what this was going to be used for? Were the residents informed in regards to this? Did you get feedback from the city?
Yeah.
You know what?
So
go ahead. Go ahead, because I sit on the planning and I was going, but Tim, you go ahead.
Yep, because I did get an email from the city planner, and I'll just read through that. The Planning Commission communication included a disclosure of what is being proposed for that site. In addition, included was a list of other types of uses permitted within the B2 zone. As is required, notifications were sent to neighbors and property owners within 300 feet. There were no comments by the public during the public hearing. He received one phone call from a resident wanting to know the nature of the public hearing. He commented that he welcomed a store like that because they have security cameras in the parking lot. Given the industrial zoning to the north and east of the site, it was felt that the impact on the neighborhood would be minimal of the site. Further, we don't limit the number of businesses unless it's called for within the ordinances. So that's very limited. And if I know Mayor Moore and Councilman Ostash are both on the Planning Commission, if they want to add anything to that.
We actually had at our last meeting, it was open to the public and we had no comments from any of the local businesses that's in that area. The residents, we had no comments. And so with that being said, we went by the information that we received from Bob, who was over us, him and Cassie. Bill, you want to share something?
Yeah, and because that was kind of some of the concern I think that kind of came up in the Planning Commission meeting, because you do have the Sheridan grocery store around the corner and the Family Dollar, and somebody did bring that up, and Bob had informed us that there was no concerns there either. And I think if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, I think they actually talked to them. I'd have to go back and watch the tape, but so we kind of came to a consensus. We were good with it.
They actually sent out information to the local businesses.
Yeah.
All of them got it, but nobody responded.
Right.
So.
Okay. Okay, because I talked to a couple of businesses. They said they didn't have the information, but okay. They said they hadn't gotten any information and no one talked to them. Because I was wondering about the Family Dollar being right across from the Dollar General. But okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, Councilwoman Sylvia, normally they get a card in the mail, because when I was living on the west side, they rezoned my area. So it kind of looks like a water bill both that side.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome. Okay. Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at resolutions. We have one this evening, and it's to adopt the final project plan for the water system improvements and designating an authorized project representative.
I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Bench second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion?
Janet, that was me, Madam Clerk.
That was Councilman Scherzer. Is that who me is? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, calling for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk.
We are now at miscellaneous business.
Do we have any unfinished or miscellaneous business that we need to discuss?
Councilwoman Bench does.
Yes.
I know that the manager mentioned it at the last meeting, and I know I've gotten lots of questions from various members of the public wondering when we intend to return to in-person, if we plan to return to in-person before August. I just wanted to know what anyone else was thinking, or if it needs to be put into the form of a motion, I can do that, but I don't want to make any motions if we don't know how others feel, I guess, but.
There is a question on the floor.
Can you explain a little? I'm not getting.
Say it again, Monique.
I'm sorry.
I said you're breaking up, so stay with me on this. We almost done.
I'll give a summary. I'll give a summary, Councilman Lamar Sylvia. So I mentioned at a previous meeting that the city council is in virtual meetings currently, and you all approved a motion some time ago to stay in virtual meetings until the end of the state of emergency. So the county declared state of emergency ends, I believe, on August 30th. So the first in-person meeting we would have, it would not be until September. The only way, I can't change that. We can't change that administratively. If that is to change, it would require a council action to return to in-person meetings. So unless the County Board of Commissioners rescinded the state of emergency, which they did include that ability in their declaration. So that could happen as well. But really the only control that the city council has over it is if you make a motion to go back into in-person meetings. And I think Councilwoman Bench is just trying to see if there's any consensus that that is something that the rest of council would like to do, or if everybody would rather stay virtual. And I believe she may have been contacted by some constituents regarding that issue.
Oh,
it looks like
I like to, me personally, I like to keep it like it is, but that's just me.
Keep it virtual?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, Mayor, I'm sorry.
Anybody, you know what? I'm really ready to go back in person, but I can go either way. I think just the camaraderie of all of us together shows unity. I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe that people will begin to start coming in, even though the numbers will still be low. I think our personal input and public input may be a little bit more easier for people because everybody is not computer savvy. I, for one, have had to learn during this whole COVID how to go from site to site to do this virtual stuff. So I personally, and I'm only one person, I'm ready to go back in person. Other council persons?
Mayor, I'll add that. So right now, we still have other restrictions from the state of Michigan. Right. So if we did meet in person, if council did want to meet in person, it would be similar to the meeting that we had last November after the election. We would have to limit the number of individuals that were in the council room. We'd have to have public input brought in and out likely just because of those limitations in space. So that is in effect currently. Potentially, I think the governor has indicated there could be changes July 1st regarding those indoor restrictions, but there haven't been any changes to this date. So if we did meet in person, that's how it would be.
Just my opinion. Anyone else?
Does it kind of like not ask the question? And I know everybody ready to go, but does it kind of like ask the question like some people have gotten the shot, some have not, you know? And then I concur with the city manager. So.
It's a good point that you're bringing up. It's a good point that she's bringing up too, because some of the new CDC guidelines and stuff too have said that, you know, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask if you have it. So how are we going to know? And there is some limitations on the chamber, like the manager was saying, there can only be so many people. Maybe we just wait till July 1st.
Well, one of the things that, and I was in on the 1st when we set this up. The way it was set up was we were divided. We had plastic in between us. We had our masks. We had our shields. Councilwoman Bench just brought it up because at the last meeting, Manager Morales mentioned it. If it is a consensus to stay virtual, then that means that we may only have one more meeting, which would be our next meeting coming up, if she opens it up, and then we have to really start talking about it. So, I mean, I'm good either way, because I don't really hear a census from anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I hear something. Do we all have shots? You know, so I don't know. It's just on the floor.
Right.
There's really nothing on the floor. She just mentioned. I mean, we're not taking a vote on anything. She's just making some comments. But
sure.
For my I would like to know, have all the city council people been vaccinated? Who has not?
I don't think that's appropriate.
I don't think
question.
Yeah.
Well,
it's kind of a HIPAA thing.
Even if some of us are not vaccinated, there's enough evidence that if we're all masked and following whatever basic protocol, we'd be fine anyway. So I think, but I want to just say that I don't have a preference one way or the other. I certainly do miss the in-person. And I have my druthers still about doing the virtual because it's warm on my second floor. So, where I broadcast from, but I don't really have a preference one way or the other. I have heard lots of questions from the public and I want to know how to answer them. So since we hadn't had a chance to talk about it, I just wanted to bring it up one way or the other.
Well, I don't personally agree. I mean, if someone's not vaccinated, there still is a possibility that somebody else can get it, even if we do stay away from each other, because we could come in contact some kind of form and fashion or touch something or what have you. So I was just asking for curiosity, but I would prefer to wait until the state open up, until the counties open up.
Yeah, and going along with what Mayor Pro Tem is saying, I mean, even like the mayor said, it's exciting to be in the chamber. It's a different energy. I don't have a problem staying virtual right now. I think I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Balls. We'll see what happens in July. Keep following the science, keep following what the CDC says, the state of Michigan, OSHA, they have their different rulings on things too. So, and citizens, I know you're watching at home. Yeah, we're excited to get back. So we eventually will be there because it's a different experience for sure.
So I think the consensus, if I'm hearing right, is we stay virtual until after we hear the CDC or the state or after July 1.
I'm good. Yeah.
Guys, we still need to begin to think about it, okay? It's just out there on the floor. We still need to think about it. Councilwoman Bench? Did your question get answered? I'm sorry, sweetie.
Yes, that's all I wanted to know was if anybody had a consensus one way or the other, and virtual's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else? Is there anything else? You know I do everything in threes, y'all. For the last time. Is there
Councilman
anything else?
Ostash, for June 19th at Saginaw High, what is the time?
10 a.m. in the morning until 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So, I mean, if you can come for a couple of hours, great. If you can come for an hour, great. If you can't show up till noon, great. You know, we're just looking for volunteers to help sort the cans and just kind of have some fun. Yeah.
Councilman Ostash, I need you to send me the flyer so I can post it up and get my troops together.
I can get that for you. I've got it on my personal page and my councilman page, and we've got a little card so I can send that to you.
That's fine. If you send it to me, I'll post it up, and hopefully we'll get a bunch of volunteers.
And
Anything
also, thanks to the city staff because they do put it on they are putting it out on our social media as well. So thanks for that too.
Is there anything else? Anything else? Y'all making me do this over. Anything else? I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Y'all get silly at the end of the meeting, but that's good. Laughter is good for the soul. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed. All right, dang. Have a good.